Well, good morning and welcome. Well, good morning and welcome. Very excited to have you here. This is something that we have worked with for a long time. It's called the Family Love Letter. In my practice, I've been using it since 2006. So it's been something that has been a great tool for people that use it. Unfortunately, we find the frustration is I've sent out thousands of these books over my career, and unfortunately they get stuffed someplace and don't get filled out. So what we normally do is do this in a workshop type of environment. And the reason we do that is because there is a lot of prep. Unfortunately, you have homework, you have a lot of homework. And we know how people don't like homework. And so that's where I think the frustration lies. So we didn't want to just drop right into it. I wanted to try to tell you where we're at right now. We have many people that have requested a copy of this first document. And this first document is just a list. If you make sure to give us your email address, we will go ahead and send it to you. But I think we've had a lot of people who've given their email address, so they should have that document. So I just wanted to get kind of started quickly. Go gather that. If you can't find it, if you didn't realize we sent you an email, maybe go scurry around and try to find that. But Debbie, let's talk a little bit about the why and how you've seen your clients that use the Family Love Letter, how you've seen it kind of work in conjunction with what their estate planning is.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are joining us right now, the Family Love Letter is a kind of process of cleaning out your junk drawer and gathering all of your financial data and your personal family data together so that you can pass along like your whole life story in one package to your family. So it helps to preserve your family relationships and provide a lot of information in one location to alleviate sort of the stress and confusion that happens when something happens to you. So it's not just doing your will or your trust that matters. It's gathering together the other information so that in a critical time of need, your family is not confused. They're not trying to gather all of the data that we sent you in the email prior to the seminar at the time when they're facing a grief situation. So for us, filling out the Family Love Letter, which is what we're guiding you through this series of seminars, is a gift to your family in addition to your estate plan. It really works together. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to have you think about here in your data gathering phase is stuff that will translate into your estate planning documents. For example, like today, we're talking about, the advisors and the people that you want to have a copy of the love letter. Let me grab this from you.
Sure.
So the Family Love Letter is an extensive document, and it's not legal or financial document. It is a document that really, takes care of things in a time of confusion. It goes through your retirement benefits. It goes through where your accounts are located. It goes through, who to call, your banking team, your financial advisor, your attorney, your military benefits personnel. Where are all these things located? As an estate planning attorney, we handle the legal documents. So we handle for you, and we take an inventory of assets when we're funding a trust and things like that. But we don't have an ongoing updated inventory, and we don't go through important questions like, how do you want to be remembered? What is your most important memory that you want to pass along to your family? If you were to die tomorrow, what would you want your family to remember you for? What is the most proud accomplishment you've had in your life? So these are questions and things that we go over in the Family Love Letter that really, work together with your estate plan. So when we go through the process of creating this, we are augmenting your estate plan. So when we finish the Family Love Letter, we put a copy of the entire Family Love Letter with your will, your trust, your power of attorney, and things like that.
Correct. And so what I wanted to start with is, first of all, everybody has been dying. I keep showing the book and everybody's been dying to have a copy of it. So how this works in the
In
world,
the COVID-19 world.
That's right. In the world that we lived in prior, this would be a meeting we would have, a workshop we would have. The first meeting kind of gave an overview of what to do. We basically had people come back and we broke it into 3 or 4 sections, and we'd physically sit together and work through this. So here's what we're going to do. We have been really blessed here to have Debbie's firm, Burke Faulkner Law, underwrite this series, and we normally charge for this. The Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council contracts with the people who wrote this book back in 2001, and it's been updated many times, but it's an attorney, Jeff Scroggins, and Donna Pagano, who I've known for many, many years. And so we purchased these books. And so this book will be mailed to anybody who requests it. And so we'll start off, and we'll talk sometime later about how to support the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council, because we really are trying to get, our mission is to get that 70% of Americans who do not have proper or any legal documents done. So my frustration has always been, hey mom, hey dad, hey wife, husband, we got to go do estate planning. And they go run to Debbie's office. And when they sit down with Debbie's office, the first thing Debbie says is, okay, well,
what do you want? What do you want in your estate plan? And that's kind of where we start here.
Correct. So let's talk about, well, first part would be on that list that we sent you. And if you didn't, please make sure to email us or somehow get us to know that we can send this to you. Send us your email, and we'll make sure to get the sheet. But if you have it in front of you, do not be scared.
Here is the sheet.
Yes. Do not be scared, because what's going to happen, I want you to picture this process. I want you to picture, we talked about everybody has a junk drawer. I know you have a junk drawer. Okay, so let's pretend that unfortunately you're passed away and they're going through your junk drawer and they find a set of keys. Now, logically, those keys are to something. So the person usually takes the key and starts going around and trying to figure out where the key goes. So what's funny about that is, let's pretend we're going through the junk drawers now. Let's go ahead and do it ahead of time. So this list is to say, hey, these are all the things that you're going to need, and don't worry about the book yet, but you need to go gather your stuff. And so the first on the list is my favorite one to talk about, because it probably causes more frustration and arguments and concern, is life insurance. And I can tell you right now, you have stuff either in drawers someplace, or in a safety deposit box, which we'll talk about in a second, or you have it in the garage, or it's in that storage unit. But it's going to take you a while to gather all this stuff on the list. Now, listen, you might not have everything on this list. The funniest thing about it is, I know that I put the list together because people forget about stuff on there, and they go, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about this. I didn't remember this. So go through the list. Of course, a lot of it is pretty easy to like figure out. Funeral insurance is very funny to me. We find funeral insurance, and you also find a lot of times people have plots
that they don't tell their family about. So again, this data gathering sheet is a master list of kind of taking an inventory of where everything that you own is located, so that we can then properly plan for their transfer of the assets, or help the family, guide them during the time of confusion. So for funeral policies and prepaid funeral plans, a lot of times people forget that they have them, or forget to include them with their will or their trust or their estate plan. And then the family comes time and they say, hey, I know my mom or my dad paid for a funeral, but that was back when they lived in Pennsylvania. We live in Florida now. I don't know if we can transfer. I don't know who they called. So things like that, that generally tend to fall through the cracks, and that's not going to be included in your will. Generally speaking, it might say or reference that you have a prepaid plan, but oftentimes it's not listed out in your will. So this would be included in the family love letter that could go with your will, so that you can really guide you in a time of need.
So one of the things too that I think is really important to think through as you start to do this process, and if you get really serious about it, this will automatically come to your head right away. You're putting a lot of very sensitive, this is your life story, right? If you do it correctly, this has passwords to the computer. This says where the safety deposit box is. This says who you want has pallbearers. This gives the person that you trust, right, information on where everything is, the roadmap to your life, so to say. And the interesting thing about it is, think about who you want to have that. one of the things in estate planning always comes in, who's going to be my executor, who's going to be my trustee.
Who's
But
going to be in charge?
Correct. And normally, again, husband and wife, couples, that's simple. But they never kind of think past that, and they go, okay, well, of course, we're going to
Right.
make each other our
Right.
who's going to know, honey, you'll know where this is, honey, I promise you.
Absolutely.
But after that, who's that second person? I usually find it interesting when people start to fill out the very simple front part of it, which would be primary contacts. So something happened to you today and you have legal documents, all right? My question comes, who has access to those legal documents? Again, let's try to think of husband and wife. That's the first thing, or spouse, whatever we want, however we want to look at that. But then who's after that? Is it the kids? Is it a CPA? Who else would be that trusted person? Sometimes it can be an advisor as myself, just to know where it is and or be able to say, hey, this is where everything is. A lot of times you have copies, you make copies of this and keep these with the legal documents.
That's right. For our clients that fill out the family love letter, we keep a copy of the family love letter with their original documents. So when we get that call from the family that says, hey, mom or dad slipped or fell, mom or dad's in a nursing home, we need to know where to access money, we need to know where to access the long-term care policy, we have a copy of the inventory and their love letter with their original documents.
Yeah, so usually we recommend that that person that's going to be your POA, power of attorney, whether it be the executor, whether it be a trustee, if you have a trust, those are usually the people that absolutely positively have to either know where this is or have a copy of it. One area on the legal side, I know that I've had a lot of clients kind of not understand, talk about the power of attorney. And since the changes in 2011, that document can be a little scary. And also the fact that a lot of people don't realize, but they can also use a copy of that. So
right. So in Florida in 2011, the power of attorney statute changed to where whoever you name as your power of attorney is your power of attorney right away. It's a live legal document the moment that you sign it. So before that law took place, a lot of times people would sign a power of attorney that said, I want so-and-so to act on my behalf if I am disabled or I'm mentally unable to handle my finances. That's not the case in Florida anymore. You can have a limited power of attorney. Like, for example, if I said, I want Glenn to sign on my behalf for this particular house closing or something of that nature. But generally speaking, the durable power of attorney covers all of your assets and it's live the moment you sign it. So you have to have basically infinite trust in the person that you name to take care of your affairs because they get the keys to your entire financial kingdom. The person that you are confident will do a good job as your power of attorney is the same person I would recommend that you keep a copy of the family love letter with them on your behalf. I'd also like to just say that this whole process really, I want you to think about it as kind of getting your house in order. It's a preparation to do your estate planning, or it augments your existing estate planning. And that's what this is all designed to do.
Yeah, so I want you to picture this if you can. If you're really thinking about this now, everyone has a paper trail, right? And the longer you live, the deeper and wider that paper trail is. So I want you to close your eyes for a minute and ask yourself, I am stressed out thinking about all this stuff I got to get together. What about if the people that care for me, I'm now either disabled or passed away, they're having to figure it out. So my deep passion is to get you to understand that in times of sickness and death, people are just not wanting to deal with an additional level of stress and anxiety associated with figuring out where all this stuff is. And I think our passion comes from the fact of being in that situation many, many times. And we could sit here probably all day and tell you stories.
And I want to tell one story because I think it's very important. Because I used to have I had a client come to me a few years ago, and she called me up. It was a surviving sibling of a gentleman here in Pasco County that passed away, but he was single and had been single his entire life. The gentleman was fairly young, in his 50s, But the gentleman had bank accounts at 5 different banks. He had safety deposit box keys. He had multiple parcels of property, and he had different CDs and mutual funds and things at all the different banks because he had an underlying distrust of banks and authority in general. Well, the gentleman did not have anything like the family love letter, and he had not really had a solid relationship with any of his remaining family members for many years. So when I got the call from the family, they said, look, we all live out of state. None of us can come down and handle any of this. We just want to hire you to go through all of our brother's things, sell his house, sell his other parcels of land, find all of his safety deposit box assets, find all of his bank accounts, and then figure it all out and then give it to us at the end. Guys, this is a nightmare. Not only does that rack up your legal bill, paying your lawyer to find safety deposit boxes all over town, to call banks and try to figure out who has what box for this gentleman, it also creates a lot of uncertainty. There's no like master way of finding out where all of your stuff is. There's not like a legal registry. We can't look up by your social security number and find your bank accounts when you die. That's just not how it works. So I cannot emphasize enough the importance of having a unified inventory or inventory of your assets and of your accounts, of your debts, because this information, if it's not found or discovered by your family in the end, they could be leaving money on the table.
Now, I don't know if we have any questions. We're about halfway through at this point, and I'm trying to get a sense of where everybody is at this point. Again, we promised we'll send you the book, but you guys have to promise that you will either at some time get it all done by yourself, or you will kind of just keep engaged with us and keep moving through and let us walk you through it. I think
if you send us your email, you email us at debbie@burkefaulknerlaw.com, or you type in your email to this chat right here. We will email you and be able to get your address privately so we can mail you a copy of the book. So this seminar we're putting on together, Burke Faulkner Law, my law firm, is sponsoring and underwriting the cost of this seminar series, so that because we're not able to do this in person, but Glenn is here on behalf of the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council, which is really just a community group we put together a few years ago to try to help people to get all of their financial documents in order. So you can visit our website.
Right. And the best way to visit the website is just type into your Google search Gulf Coast EPC.org or Gulf Coast EPC Estate Planning Council. And so what you're going to get there is an ability to ask questions to our group of professionals who are with the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council. How about some free legal advice kind of questions answered for free? We're going to have a series of webinars that we've done. Also, some really cool videos talking about the 5 essential documents you need for estate planning. And so what we're trying to do here is make sure that we are starting where we need to start, which is gathering everything and asking the hard questions. You know, Debbie, one thing I always flip back to the back part, and I guess I do because I find out that there's so many people who leave this out of their estate planning. They come to you, they've got all their financial house in order, so to say, but they really don't talk about family history, their ethical will. The back part of this to me is so much more important. I always tell a story, and I did on the last webinar. Let's pretend you passed away today and you get to go and write a letter afterwards going, damn, I forgot to say this, that. I really wanted to tell my friends, my family, my kids, my wife, whatever, this information. It probably is not going to be financial in nature. It's probably going to be, I really wish my kids understood that we really love this one specific charity, or I wish they would really know that our family history is such. Or
how about how you would like to be remembered?
How would you like to be remembered?
Or who you'd like to be your pallbearers at your own funeral. It sounds morbid, but guys, this is stuff that your family's going to have to answer for you if you don't answer it ahead of time.
I love this one, and there's a list of them under the ethical will part. It says, "It is my hope that my family will use its inheritance from me to accomplish the following / goals, dreams in their lives." Those are the kind of questions that are really priceless, and believe me, have been left out of so many families. When I go see them afterwards, they are saying things like, you know what, I knew my dad was in the war. I don't really know what happened. And or I knew my great, 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 great grandmother was associated with something. And these are the memories and the history that is lost in a common estate planning approach, which is, hey, let's get our financial things in order.
Let's get
But
our will done.
What about our life? And what about all the things that are really important? So I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. That's going to be in the back. Again, this homework can all be done without a copy of this. These are the things that you have to start working on by yourself. We're here to help aid you doing that. I think we have a question.
No, I think it was just interest in having us and having
Perfect.
copies of this
Great.
document. So
Great.
we're very excited about your interest in completing this, inventory of your assets. There were, I'd like to touch a little bit on the couple of other sections of the book. One of the sections of the book goes over your advisor information, like I said earlier, but another section of the book goes over your financial accounts. And that's very important because the accounts morph and change. Mm-hmm. And especially for clients who decide that they want to pass everything with a will, it's very, very important. But no matter what the situation, really, that your family knows where to go gather all of your financial information and all the property together to be able to effectuate your estate plan. So a lot of times people think that when they do a will or they do a trust, all their accounts are automatically somehow inventoried. And that's just not how things work. I've had that question over and over. Well, I put together a will, doesn't everything automatically go? No, guys, it's very important that you have an inventory of all of your things, because there's no central database, there's no registry where you can go to be able to find and access where all these different accounts are. That's why we take you through this process. That's why at the law firm, we put you through an estate planning questionnaire that's extensive with financial information in there.
Yeah, one area, I'm going to show you this page here if you can see it. It's called digital assets. It was added to the love letter because, let's think about this, how many clients don't get paper statements anymore? So we have so many clients that are online right now. And so now we talk about, okay, we'll go get your statements. And they go, well, I don't have any statements. Mom, Dad did everything online. Well, then the next question comes, okay, well, what's the password to the computer? And how many different banks do they have CDs in? So the digital aspect of it is extremely important. And here's my biggest concern is people fill this out at this time and they've got it done. And then they have to change their passwords because a lot of places make them change their passwords on a regular basis. And they crack open the love letter and they're not updated. So we have a lot of different situations that this is a live document and a lot of the areas have to be updated. We do have a question.
The question is, once I fill out the book, how do I go about setting up a talk with either one of you? Yeah, great question. You can just send us an email and we will be happy to set up a consultation with Glenn or myself to take you to the next phase of whatever planning that you need individually. Some people already have their estate planning in order. Some people already have their finances in order, but it's a matter of coordinating both of those sides of the equation that'll really alleviate confusion in the time of grief for your family.
And so if you want to know from my side, how does this work? So the next question usually is, about 5 minutes left. The next question is, who do I see first? You see me first and our firm first. And why do you do that? We are going to help you gather everything. I am not an attorney and I do not practice law, but let's think about it. If we're going to do financial planning or estate planning, the word planning is in there. So Debbie is there to help facilitate, to help recommend certain specific things associated with her tax degree and her law degree, but not to really think through, I love my kids, but the but might be, I love my kids, but one of them spends money he doesn't have or she has, or I love them all the same, but the one's daughter-in-law
And
son-in-law.
those are the questions that are best to go over before you create your plan. And oftentimes we have clients that come in where they're not quite ready to decide how they want everything to go. The purpose of having the dialogue ahead of time is to make sure that when you do come into my office or another law office, that you're able to tell your attorney, I know what I want. I have 2 kids. One's responsible, one's not. I want my responsible child to have access to money right away, my irresponsible child to have money over the course of 10 years, or whatever it is that you want for your own family. And I want to make a quick comment about that, how, again, the data gathering process. Back in the old days, guys, I do probate law as part of estate planning and probate. When somebody died back in the day, I've been a lawyer 11 years. Now, so it isn't all that. It's more and more as time has gone on in my career. People are doing everything digitally. Back in the day, we used to look through people's mail to find out what assets they had and what debts they had. That's just not available anymore, which is why the digital assets section of this should be filled out and updated. There's
a question, and we're getting close to being done here.
What is Glenn's firm and email address? Okay.
I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We try to do everything through the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council. So I'll give you a phone number to call. It's 727-200-6009. That's 727-200-6009. That's the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council. Understand what we're doing.
And you answer
that phone. I am the director of community, blah, blah, blah. And so we can talk about what that is. We have myself and other professionals who donate their time to the council to try to get people with the right type of professionals that'll help them. We have a couple of minutes left. The other thing I wanted to do an interesting conversation is 2 things. Again, subscribe. We're going to be doing these once a week. We have another cool one on Thursday that Debbie's going to be doing, talking about asset protection, and where I work with a lot of closely held business owners, and they're just scared to death about what's going on, and they're worried about protecting their business and their personal assets. So that'll be on Thursday. But 2 things: subscribe. What do I mean by that? Subscribe so that we have the channel,
our YouTube channel,
so that we can continue to give you more information and get it out to you. Debbie is underwriting for right now these books, so we can get that to you. The other thing about meeting with me before an attorney, I'm a lot cheaper. So what I find a lot of people who do estate planning is they have sticker shock, right? Well, guess what? Talking about your son, whatever, with her is a lot more expensive than talking about one of those people from the Gulf Coast Estate Planning Council. So I think we're about done. Any more questions?
I think that's it for today, guys. In the next sessions, we'll be going over your family mission statement, your ethical will, your family history and how you'd like to be remembered, and then going over a little bit more deeper dive into your data gathering and where that information goes. And so we'll hope that you'll tune in next time. We'll be doing our next family love letter next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.